What's up, everyone? Melderon here on another reaction video. Before we get to that, I want to talk about a fun new gaming community that friends of the channel has started. It's called Context Gaming, and they've asked that I talk about it and invite you, the viewers, to check it out. So Context Gaming is a PG-13 social club of gamers from all walks of life. Covers a lot of different games. World of Warcraft, PAX Day, Bethesda RPGs. Some other ones include Helldivers, War Thunder, Diablo, Destiny 2, Elden Ring. So it's just a community of people that get together and play games. If you're looking for a community like that for adults, I highly recommend checking it out. Seems like a very fun Discord, and I'll have the link in the description. But it's discord.gg/context. So definitely check it out if you're interested. Again, the link will be in the description. Okay, on to the reaction. So today we're going to be reacting to a video. It's a very short video by Azimus, who makes great content. It's very tongue-in-cheek, very funny, very good stuff, and it's very short. So Asmin watches it. It's a 2-minute video, but he turns it into 40 minutes of content. So I'm going to take that 40 minutes and make it into probably an hour of content. But I really like Asmin takes in this video. I did watch about half of it before reacting, because I have to scan through stuff and find out what would be good to react to. That's how I do these reacts, right? So, but again, the pinned comment, and I apologize, the last video I didn't put up the pinned comment right away. YouTube's stupid. Like, you can't preemptively put up a pinned comment. I had that video scheduled for a week because Defcamp was just here. So I didn't actually record that video the day it came out. I recorded it a week before. And I just didn't get around to pinning the comment. So this one will be, the pinned comment will be there as soon as this video is live. And it'll say, what will I react to next? So in that, reply to that if you want me to react to a specific video, and I'll check it out. So the title of this video by Azimus is, Can Season of Discovery Recover? Now, I'm just going to say right this off the bat, I do not play Season of Discovery. I have never played Season of Discovery. I think I played it for about a minute, like a day, and I was just kind of burned out, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to get myself into this game again, especially with all this new content. It's a whole new meta is going to develop. I just don't have the time for this, right? So, which is interesting, because I wonder how many of you felt that way. Now, the general consensus I've seen online is that people say that Blizzard did too much. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to react to the video. So let's get started. I also have this at 1.5x speed because it's a 40-minute video, and I'm going to try to keep this under an hour if possible.
Season of Discovery is coming out. There's a recent video, definitely not a really great starter here. Can Season of Discovery actually recover? And everything's on fire. So yeah, I'm so stoked for SOD. I'm excited. I'm not super excited. I'm really not. But I think like right now I'm like a 6 or a 7 on the excitement scale. Probably closer to a 6.
8 long months have passed since the launch of Season of Discovery. Soon enough.
What's your feeling? Oh, sorry, I have to move my camera. I'll put it on top of his chat. So what is your feeling about Season of Discovery, guys? If you had to put a number on it, how excited are you for the next expansion up to level 60?
Blizzard will finally allow players to reach level 60 and tackle revamped endgame content.
my God.
But is it too late? Will it be enough to bring back the millions of players that quit? Can the game actually recover from the extreme loss of momentum with the first 3 phases?
It absolutely can. By the way, it 100% can. I think a great example of this is like when Burning Crusade came out and everybody quit Era. Like nobody was playing Classic Era towards the start of Burning Crusade, and like the servers were legitimately actually just dead. And then people came back over time because the gameplay kept them engaged and they kept playing the game. They can absolutely get people to come back, but it will take time.
Fortunately,
Agreed.
I do believe it's too late, and let me tell you why.
I don't think it's too late. Like, we all know how this works, right? When new content phase, like during Classic WoW, in between content phases, I'm sure the playtime dropped off. I mean, Classic WoW is amazing in the fact that you need to run old content for gear, and the relevancy of Molten Core never really goes away, at least not fully. So, I don't know how much dipping there actually was. I know I played the same amount as Classic WoW was out the entire time. I didn't ever drop off.
All stems back to the very early decisions made with this season's raid content. On top of having no brand new raids to discover, everyone, and I mean everyone.
Which brings up an interesting point. Did this type of level cap to 20 or 40 or 60, whatever they decided to do. I forget what it was. Do you feel like that hurt the game? Or do you feel like it was actually beneficial to have those content stops and starts? Do you think that like it almost stopped and start the hype too much? Because classic WoW, right? You open up Molten Core immediately and everyone races the 60. Not races, but gets there as fast as they can, starts playing Molten Core. And you keep running it each week because everyone wants bindings and all this stuff, right? So I think that I wonder how this affected you guys.
Everyone has mental anguish at the thought of forming 10 and 20-man raids. And can you blame them? Filling a raid with 10 or 20
Why is that hard?
is a lot.
I don't think that's the problem. I really don't. I think that the problem is that a lot of people aren't really interested in playing a private server, or not private server, a seasonal server. And this is, I'm speaking for myself, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I'm not really interested in playing a seasonal server as much because I feel like all of my progress will be eventually deleted. And that makes me, it gives me like a feeling of like futility whenever I'm playing the game. And I don't know if that's like the way other people feel about it or not, but if you compare that to like classic era servers are just existing like indefinitely, right? Like you're just always going to have that character.
Yeah, so Aslan brings up a really good point here, right? Seasonal, I think one of the reasons why I was playing a warrior, and I think it was a warrior or shaman, I forget, and I was running around in Season Discovery, like the first week it came out, and like something dropped, like a rune dropped, and I'm like, man, how many of these fucking runes do I have to get? And this shit's going to be over in a year? I just like, I had the cost-benefit analysis went off in my head immediately, right? And I was like, fuck this, man. I can't play this game. And I wonder how many of you felt that way. I don't think an MMO should ever be seasonal. I'm sorry. I don't agree with this at all.
So there's more of a reason to continue like playing on a server like that because you can take a break from the era server for 6 months. You can quit the game for an entire year.
True.
And you can come back and it's going to be in the exact same place. And that I think is a huge beneficial of why people.
It's never going to be the exact same place because you're missing the social element, right? So yes, the game itself, the content obviously will be the same spot. Nothing is past Nexramus, so it's like all raids are available, blah, blah, blah. But the social element's not there. So, I know what Grays and some other people in Cargos are doing is that they're restarting like a whole an internal fresh on, I think it's Deviant Delight, which I saw your comments, guys, ask if I'm playing. I'm not. It's just time, guys. I'm sorry. I really would love to play casually. And maybe I'll just level a character one day, but I don't know, man. It's just putting the $15 a month out for this game. I'm not feeling it right now, guys. If a fresh came out, that's a different story. But yeah, anyway. So I see Asmon's point, but he's missing the social element. All your friends aren't there. That's the most important thing, I think.
People care about era and why they don't care as much about Season of Discovery. Yeah, I quit because Undead Rogue gankers. Well, that's just one thing, right? But it's nice to try out. It's lame to grind out. Yeah, exactly. And like MMOs, people don't like. I think that again, I hate how people are trying to turn every game into Fortnite, where like there's seasons. It's like stop it. Like that. This isn't the way every game has to function. Like not every game needs a season to it. Like there's not a reset. Like you need a new season, a new version of it. Oh, there's a new battle pass. Like what the fuck are you doing? Like some games are not. They don't fit into that. FOMO and diving is toxic as fuck. It's just too much, man. So when I see an MMO that this is why I quit Lost Ark, and it's also why I stopped playing retail. I felt like I was always treading water. Like I could never really get ahead. I could never really get behind. I'm just stuck there, kind of. It's like you're driving in traffic at 30 miles an hour. You're not stopped, and you're also not going 80 miles an hour either. You're just going slowly, and everybody is moving at a reasonable pace, and you have to stop at red lights, and there's this, pedestrian crossing.
Yeah,
you're in a hamster wheel, exactly. And so, like, I think that's the reason why Season of Discovery and Season of Mastery before that. That's why Season of Discovery was infinitely more popular, by the way. And there are also a lot of other like meta level problems.
Season of Discovery was way better than Season of Mastery, right? Season of Mastery was what? Just increased boss health and no world buffs, right? That's the only thing that was different, right? And, so I'm going to give away my cards here for a little bit because I wanted to talk about something a little bit later in the video, but I think it's time to talk about it now. I think what we need right now is a fresh, guys. Fresh, vanilla, unadulterated. Okay? And what I think Blizzard should think about doing is Okay, so are you guys familiar with the multiverse theory, right? So the multiverse says that there are infinite universes. Each of them are slightly different than the other, right? The way I think Blizzard should approach changes to Vanilla WoW is something like a multiverse, right? Every 2 years, let's say, you can do a fresh vanilla restart with extremely minor things changed, right? So I'm sure you've heard multiverse theory that in one multiverse you have red hair or something, right? Or in one multiverse I have hair, let's put it that way, right? So what if that every fresh, there was a tiny little tweak? Maybe there's some quests are moved around. Maybe loot tables are shifted a little bit, right? Maybe there's a new item drop. They add like 1 or 2 new blues into the game, low-level blue items, right? Something extremely minor. And I think this gets to the problem with... So there's 2 issues here. One is they did too much in the Season Discovery. They added too much bullshit and bloat. And then the second thing is that seasonal content just doesn't work, man. Not for an MMO. I think starting new freshes every 2 or 2.5 years with minor tweaks, like tiny little things that people can discover. I don't think they should mess with abilities. I don't think they should mess with. They shouldn't remove content for the game. They might move content around or add little things, little blue items that pop up that you've never seen before. From a boss in like Dead Mines, you're like, what the hell is this? Two-handed sword. I've never seen this before off of Van Cleef. Something interesting, right? That's all the game really needs, in my opinion. And it would be cool if they don't tell you all of the changes they made and see if players can figure out all the little shifts and manipulations they did to the game, right? You might add a few pieces of gear, maybe even at high level content, something to make druids a little bit better tanks. Just gear though, not abilities. Tiny little things. And I would call this Multiverse Classic WoW. That's what I would call it. And, that's just enough interesting, fun stuff to add a little bit of new elements to the game. Because the game, I'm sorry guys, and I know I've said this many, many times, the game is near perfect the way it is. I know people disagree with that, but it is, and that's how I feel about it. So this multiverse idea, something I came up with when I watched this video the first time, and I think it would be really good.
Problems that Season of Discovery has, but fundamentally, the main issue is that I think that getting people to play on a seasonal server is a very, it's like antithetical to an MMO. It's like the opposite.
I agree.
Sod was at the beginning was lit. Well, yeah, because there was like almost nothing you had to do.
I'm going to turn this down. I'm going to go 1.25. It's going too fast.
Party or a wedding or something. Have you ever tried talking on Discord with more than 7 people in a call? It's borderline impossible, and due to the viability of
I don't understand Asim's take on this. This is
unsettling. No one wants
gaming.
a melee hunter taking their best weapons.
Yep.
The loss of GDKP.
We need a legit GDKP pull going into Phase 4. Classic Era is thriving partly because of GDKP. Sod will die without it.
It's true, man.
I think that getting rid of GDKP was always a bad decision.
It was a huge mistake.
And I got a lot of shit for it. I did. Everybody was shitting on me for it. I can't believe that people simp so hard for Blizzard that they're willing to throw away emergent gameplay.
Yeah.
Because Blizzard refuses to uphold their own rules. That's crazy.
100%.
Absolutely fucking crazy.
100%.
Has been
the technology available today, just with like, you just hire an AI expert, Blizzard, to handle the bot situation and handle gold buying. There's algorithms that can detect this stuff. And I know that, botters are using similar algorithms, but if you hire someone with a lot of experience in how to unleash AI to detect these types of things, I'm telling you, man, this problem could be solved. But I don't think Blizzard wants to do it because it makes them money, man. Like, these bot accounts are still paying for playtime, right? And, dude, it's such a weak and lazy thing to remove the GDKPs and not the issue that causes gold inflation in the gold inundation of gold, right?
Throughout the course.
Imagine if everyone had to work for the gold they use in GDKPs.
corners of the classic community, and many of us still mourn losing the best loot system ever created. However, the true killing blow was not making the raids 5-man. They should revamp all the raids to be 5-man and rename.
Maybe have
He's
it be
obviously
soloable.
I think he's joking.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
AQ5. That would
Great
bring
idea.
everyone back.
AQ5. I think that was a tongue-in-cheek joke, but
Season of Discovery is terrible. Oh my god, I didn't realize so many people were so negative about it. So here's 0-man raid. Yeah, we had those in WoD. There were just missions. You just have your guys go out on a mission, they bring you back epic gear. So the reason why I don't invest a lot into Season of Discovery is because generally the raids are too hard to pug easily, and they're annoying. Like, it for me,
okay, that's
if
insight.
I'm playing
I didn't know.
like Classic Era, for example, everybody knows how to do Molten Core. People know how to do the raid. Like, if you go into a raid in Molten Core, the success chance of that raid is like 95%. Whereas in Classic, or in SOD, whenever I would play it, it would be very low. Like, you would regularly have wipes. You would regularly have time wasted. And when I have that happen, I feel like I'm wasting my time with people that are stupid. And Classic also, like, Classic is very punishing whenever you make a mistake. It's punishing when you do something wrong. Acranius, yeah. I don't want to sit through Acranius. Oh, somebody doesn't go in the cloud again?
I think he's saying Iranicus. I'm pretty sure that's what he's saying.
Okay, well, if you didn't go in the cloud and, okay, you died, I quit. I'm done. I don't want to play. Like, I don't want to waste my time with that kind of stuff. So this is actually, you know what? I'm going to do this. This is a really great idea. Reasons why SOD is not great.
Okay, let's see.
I think that's... Should I say it like that? Should I say, like, why SOD is not
It doesn't matter.
great?
Asmon.
I don't know if that's the best way to say it. Because I don't want to say it's bad. I really don't, and I don't think that it's bad. However, I do still have some opinions about it regardless, right?
Yeah, I think not great.
So I'll look
is
and I'll
better
talk
than
about it a little
bad.
bit, right? Okay, so number
Obviously.
one, interdependency.
Oh my god,
Is,
I know.
is that even a word? Yeah, it actually is. Interdependency of classes is all but removed.
Yeah, this is
So
so important.
what I mean by this is that back in Classic WoW, a warrior playing at 100% and a paladin playing at 100% together would be playing at 300 or 400%.
That is so fucking true. Okay, like I did a hardcore run with Defcamp when they did the hardcore. It was before. Was it before hardcore servers? Remember when they just added a buff? I forget the hell it was. It was in Season of Mastery, I think, and they added like a hardcore buff you had to get, right? Anyway, we Defcamp and I did Warrior Paladin. That combination, dude, is so much more powerful. It's non-linear. It's not additive, right? So you have like Warrior. It's not Warrior plus Paladin. It's Warrior times Paladin, right? And you get this like. It's so fucking cool, man. And I love that. Like, I love that each class has distinct weaknesses. Some more than others. When they play solo. But when they play in a group, it's just... Like Warriors with Wind Fury, right? Warriors with Might. Or Kings. Or whatever. Like... It's so fucking cool, man. And I from what I'm gathering... Again, I haven't played SOD, but it looks like this... effect, this non-linear effect, has been removed or lessened.
Right? You had like a force multiplier for how much powerful you were. And you couldn't heal as a warrior. So you needed that fucking paladin. Right. You needed to have those other people to play with. And SOD adding in different abilities and different spells removed that interdependencies because those spells were made to counter the problem.
How do you not see you're going to do that? If you're adding all these abilities as a game dev? Am I just like, you know... Am I just being stupid here? Like, but seriously, like, how do you, in the drawing board, when you're sitting in the room and you see you're going to add all of these distinct abilities to all the classes, how do you not realize you're destroying this very important part of an MMO? Is at least in this MMO, the interdependency between classes, like, and the synergy that comes out of that.
Problems that the classes had, like for example, mages. Like, mages couldn't heal. Warriors couldn't heal. You give them Victory Rush, you give them the healing abilities, well, now they fucking can.
Yeah.
So now that reason to have interdependency with other players is removed. So you don't see that same type of need to do that. Mages are OP as fucking Classic? Yeah, sure. SOD is literally just retail with a Classic mask on? Right, yes, that's true. Too many weird specs. Mage, healer,
Yeah.
tank, rogue. This is stupid.
It is stupid.
It's
makes
fucking
no
stupid.
sense. From a class fantasy perspective, it makes no fucking sense. Why is a mage healing? Why is a rogue tanking? Go back to... You don't even have to go down to Tolkien. Go to D&D, right? A wizard can't heal, right? A rogue or thief can't tank. They might be able to tank briefly, but these class fundamental class archetypes are just broken now. No one asked for that. Did you guys ask for that? Did we ask for the fundamental class structures to be revamped? I think all we asked for, correct if I'm wrong, is let's make paladins a little bit better at tanking. Let's make shamans able to tank. Classes that already kind of were able to do these things, let's buff them a little bit. Let's make it so druids don't have to get a manual crowd plumber to keep up on their threat table. Right? Like, these things is what we wanted. Let's give paladins a crusader strike. And let's make storm strike was similar to that, so it wasn't too imbalanced, right? Like, I don't know. They heard this stuff and they're like, okay, we're gonna do that times like 1,000. I don't understand why they did that.
It's dumb. Yeah, why? Because it's stupid.
It is stupid.
Mages aren't healers. Priests are healers. Rogues aren't tanks. That's not the way it works. One thing that people might really downplay is how much things making sense matters. In vanilla WoW, everything in the game made sense.
It does.
Mage healers and tank rogues don't make intuitive sense in the same way.
They don't.
And I know that it's stupid, but I think that it's not. Rogue healers and tank mage is the matter. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So there's that. And let's see. Besides that, let's see. Why SOD isn't great? Oh, removed GDKP.
Well, I mean, we talked about that already.
So
yeah.
GDKP is a big reason why people continuously play the game. Basically, after you get fully geared, now what?
Yeah.
What do? Well, back in the day, you would get fully geared, and then you would do GDKP. Because now you can start making gold with your character.
World buffs kind of make this difficult, but yes, I see what he's saying, right? Like you... On Melderon, so I had like 4 60s during Classic, right? I had the Shaman, Melderon, I had a Warrior, Kurzog, I had a Hunter, Tarzul, and I had a Druid, Oakenhorn. So I was able to basically play a lot outside of if Melderon was locked in World Buff jail, which he was a lot, right? So, but I did do a few GDKPs with Melderon if like I had the time to go out maybe get a few world buffs. Healers didn't really have to worry about world buffs as much, right? So I could easily get into GDKP as a well-geared healer without world buffs, and I would make some extra cash when I could that way. Right, but mostly I farmed. That's what I did. That's why I had 3 other 60s. I tanked on the Warrior, and I farmed mostly on the Hunter and the Druid. But yeah, but I see his point, and that is true. It provides a gameplay sync for well-geared players, and it helps people get geared in that way.
And you can start actually your character can have a function of doing the raid that provides a reward to you that exists beyond the initial raid itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a 1% issue?
No, it's not. 1% of players weren't doing GDKPs.
Issue, but you're right that it's a high-end issue. But I would expect that, yeah, it's more than 1%. Yes, it definitely is. There's a lot of people, but if you look at, and also GDKP is more fair. That's another very big factor, right? Is that a lot of people, whenever they raid and they lose a role to somebody who is garbage, this person now doesn't want to play the game anymore. It's not really, like, rolling for gear isn't really fair, whereas GDKP is fair.
We didn't do GDKP in my guild, right? Because I feel like this is kind of niche. I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me in the comments, how many of your guilds ran GDKPs? Like, that was your main way of progression. I doubt that most guilds operated that way. This was a side job that a lot of raiders had outside of guild time, right? At least in my guild, we did a modified DKP system, which kind of combined Loot Council and okay. We started at DKP. We started with that, and then we moved to Loot Council. And then in TBC, we moved to a hybrid system. Loot list. And, you know, but we didn't do GDKPs. We did it outside of raid time. If people wanted to do that on a non-raid night, that was up to them. They can do that as much as they wanted to. So that's how we did it. I think that's probably normal. Let me know if I'm wrong here.
It's like it's unfairly bad.
But so going to Asmon's point, it is more fair than Loot Council, because, or rolling. Obviously, it's more fair than rolling is the most bullshit way to do loot, right? In my opinion, if you're in a guild. But if someone does get a piece of gear that's obviously worse than you, it does have an effect, right? And yes, this is it's biased towards people who can make gold, right? So if you're good at making gold, then you're good at getting gear. It doesn't mean you're a good player, though. So I don't 100% agree with Asmon's take here.
Balanced among everybody, right? There is no actual fairness. It's just whoever gets more gold wins the item. There's never going to be a circumstance where a person who puts less gold in doesn't get or more gold in doesn't get the item, right?
Right.
So what I'm saying with GDKP is that it is a completely fair system in the rules that it creates. You see what I'm saying? Strong.
It's fair if you think capitalism is 100% fair, right? I'm not getting political here. I'm just saying that capitalism is obviously the best system we've come up with as humans so far. I mean, Winston Churchill said that, right? They're all bullshit, but this one's the best one. But capitalism obviously leaves people in the dirt, right? That's what capitalism does. That's how it is in the United States. Look at the homeless problem, right? So it is fair in the fact that the rules are pretty clear. The more money you have, the more gear you get. But I do think it does benefit people who make more gold. And in this situation, since Blizzard hasn't fixed botting or gold buying, it benefits people who use real money to buy gold, right? So if you remove that, it does even the playing field a little bit, but it still favors people who have more time to play.
Only disagree. That's fine. So pay to win is fair? Well, pay to win isn't a problem, right? So explain this to me. Now you think that Blizzard should make rules in the game and should stop players from playing with each other in a certain way because Blizzard doesn't want to ban gold buyers? That's insane to me.
It is insane.
You're saying, I want Blizzard to make the game worse and give us more rules because they don't want to adhere to their own terms of service.
Yeah, which is bullshit, guys.
That's
I'm sorry.
crazy.
It is crazy.
Rolling is fair? It's not, though, because bad players can
fair.
roll on gear that they don't deserve. And it doesn't reward people that are good at the game for playing the game. So why would somebody continuously play the game?
Which is why I think Loot List or Loot Council or even regular DKP is far superior to rolling. We can at least all probably agree on that, right? Yes, you can have extremely corrupt loot councils and all those things. Barring that, though, I think that I would rather be... my optimal opinion, because I know how I play, and I know I put a lot of effort into how I play when I did play, my best option for me would be a good loot council, a non-corrupt loot council that actually did it fairly. I know that I would get rewarded because I come to raid with buffs. I show up, I heal, I try to make sure people don't die, and I would get rewarded for that. So that would be my optimal.
There's no reason to. And also, once you get the gear that you want out of the raid, what incentive do you have to do the raid again? GDKP provides that incentive.
Sorry, I keep stopping the video, but there's a lot of things to talk about here. Yes, GDKP can provide incentive, but it's very rare that you get everything you need in Classic WoW. Trust me, we raided it every single week we could, except for like the first couple weeks. And I didn't get full BIS. So I don't know about that.
Incentive. So all of the people who finish the gearing process or plateau at the gearing process, they now have no end game beyond that. There's no prestige ranking. There's no Paragon levels. Yeah. There's nothing for them to do other than just quit. Deserve? Yeah, no, good players deserve loot, bad players don't. That's the way it works. And if you reward bad players, you get a raid full of bad players. If you reward good players, you get a raid full of good players.
That's just the ecosystem. That's how it works. He's absolutely right. That's just the way Classic WoW works.
Reward losers, you get losers. It's pretty fucking simple. Bad players can still buy gear. Yes, GDKP is fair. Exactly. It's very fair. What's preventing a bad player from making gold and buying gear? I don't know.
Nothing. So that's why it's not.
Now you're making the
completely
ability
fair.
to make gold a qualifier for getting loot, which is outside the skill involved in the raid. You're right, but it's something that everybody agrees to ahead of time. And I think that whenever it happens, and
That is true. When you walk into a GDKP, you know exactly what's going to happen, right? You know. Sorry, I always pause Asmund at the most horrible times, but when you walk into a GDKP, you know exactly what's going to happen. If I have the most gold for this item, I'm going to win it 100%, no questions asked.
and somebody outbids you, everybody gets a reward. Also, having GDKP does not remove other role raids. Like, there's no rule that says you can only do GDKP or you can only do roles. Like, you can make, if you don't like GDKP, you can just make a raid that's not GDKP.
Yeah.
You see how that works? Right? Fuck GDKP? Okay, that's fine. Then don't do it. Nobody's saying that you have to do it. But taking it away from people and saying that they can't do it is fucking stupid.
Yeah, Asmund's not saying that you have to do it, right? He's saying that it should be allowed, but it should be, the gold should be acquired through natural means, through farming, right? Or through selling rare items that drop, which is a type of farming, right? Like, Blizzard, the fact that Blizzard can't be fucked to do their job and police the community doesn't mean you go for the easy route and penalize players for doing something emergent that people enjoy. It's just simple as that.
And it was fucking, I got so much shit for this. And I'm so glad to see people finally waking up and seeing how ridiculous it was to ban GDKP. So fucking stupid.
Asmund was right. And he usually is.
Saying since day one, yep. Would GDKP be as popular without gold buying? Yes. Of course it would be popular.
It would be
GDKP
popular,
is one of
not
the
as
bottom
popular,
issues
but
with
it would be
SOD.
popular.
Well, here's the issue, right? Is that players, like, so basically you play through SOD, and players cycle out of the game because there's no content. If GDKP exists, it creates that cycle and it keeps them inside of the game, which keeps...
That's true. So specifically for SOD, right? For Classic, there's enough content to keep playing without GDKP, in my opinion, to get better gear. It does help having GDKP because it provides an incentive outside of gear, which is really big, right? When you go into a raid, if we try to calculate what are the chances I'm getting a piece of gear tonight, it's probably like 15-20%, right? Each of the 40 people in that raid, you probably have less than a 25% chance to get gear that night. GDKP adds an additional bonus to that, which is gold, right? Now, for a game like SOD, where level caps were, in increments, there's only so much content you can do. So he's absolutely right that GDKP would have helped SOD become more popular and maintain a player base, because it would provide an incentive for very small amounts of content to keep playing.
keeps raids going, right? It builds an ecosystem into the game. But we're talking too much about GDKP. It's not all about GDKP, okay? This is just one part of it, right? And no, it does not. It absolutely does. It's not even a question. That's why there's people that have 10 alts to do GDKPs, and then you get rid of them, then they're not playing the game anymore. All those people are making raids. Now they're not, then that's gone. And so anyway, and the phases were too long. Also, raids were too hard.
Interesting. I didn't know this.
So this is another contentious thing that a lot of people said that I was bad for, and it turned out that I was right about everything completely, and Blizzard agreed with me. And so how many times how much health does Acranius have right now?
Aranicus.
In Season of Discovery. How much health does he have? He has 1.4 million. Okay. So originally he had over 4 million. So that is a reduction of like 60 to 70% of his health. So yes, 1.5. Wow. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
At least they nerfed Statue of Rights. And
that's a huge nerf.
Basically, they release these raids that are incredibly punishing and really, really hard. And they're listening to people that are playing the game, talking on Reddit, that have played the game for 15 years. Well, whenever you add in really hard raids, the reason why Classic worked was because it was easy. Classic WoW wouldn't work if it was really hard, because the amount of time and preparation that's needed in order to have like a good run is so high, and it would be so disproportionate to where the reward was.
Right. So I said this before. The key for Classic WoW success at endgame is that you can get a ragtag group of people who it's a huge distribution in skill, right? So you probably have a normal distribution in skill in your raid, which is interesting, right? So most people are average. There's a few people that are complete shit, and there's a few people that are fucking on top of their shit constantly. That distribution, that normal distribution, doesn't exist in other games, in other versions of the game, maybe in TBC, and maybe a little bit in Wrath. But that distribution started to get skewed, especially as you added different difficulties, right? You had the vie for better players. And the reason for that you're able to have a normal distribution is because raids are fucking easy. The best part about Classic WoW is getting in Discord with the guys and gals, and having a good time, talking shit, playing the game, right? Nax, that got a little bit changed up a little bit because you had to be a little bit more on top of your shit, and a lot of raids fell apart and had to get new players and stuff like that. But that's okay. That's the last raid, and that's how it should be. And world buffs made it even easier, right? So if you had world buffs and you retained world buffs, you were blowing through content. So, but that's what made it fun. You were able to go in, get gear. Your world buffs kind of masked your ability a little bit. So if you were a bad player, world buffs made you look average. And if you were a really good player, world buffs made you look like a fucking elite player, right? So, raids being too hard, it's like they turned Classic into later expansions with SOD. And they totally missed the fact that the reason why Classic is fun is because it's easy.
So Classic WoW works well. Nax is hard? Yeah, but not really, though, right?
Not really.
Because most bosses do one mechanic, and there's
True.
only 3 people that need to have a pulse in the whole raid. It's harder than the other content.
Outside of Saffron and Kel'Thuzad, I mean, it's a pretty easy raid, right? Let us be honest. It's not that hard. It's not like Mythic raiding.
But it's also not very mechanically challenging. So what ends up happening is that you have these really hardcore players that are advocating, oh, we like harder raids, we want harder raids. Then you look at them, and these are people that have been playing the game for like 10 or 15 years. You shouldn't listen to them. That's not the right person to listen to. So They made the raids too hard. Like the second to last boss with Black Fathom Deeps was too hard. I got shit for saying it. Blizzard nerfed it because I was right. Nomergon was too hard. I got shit for saying it. Blizzard nerfed it because I was right. Sunken Temple was too hard. I got a lot of shit for saying it. People were talking, even making like tweets and threads about me, about how stupid I am for saying this. Blizzard nerfed it by more than 50% because
crazy.
that's how right I was.
Wow.
Classic WoW is made for brain-dead dads that don't have enough time to play video games.
Most of my raid were dads. And moms. That was most of my raid. We still did really well. Because it's Classic WoW, and because we had world buffs, and because we had an excellent, excellent raid leader in tank. So this is why he's absolutely right. Brain dead. Some people are brain dead, sure, but that's okay. You're able to patch it together in Classic WoW if people are brain dead. You're able to have like 10 brain dead people and still play.
It's not made for good players. If you're a good player, play retail.
Yeah.
Go do Mythic raiding. Go play Valorant. Go play League of Legends. Stop turning.
If you're looking for a challenge that's on the cutting edge of gaming, Classic WoW is not the game for you. 100%.
A 20-year-old MMO that's been solved 18,000 different ways into your esport. You're killing it. And Blizzard kills it by adhering and trying to cater to it.
Yeah.
So yes, raids are too hard. Retail pullouts? Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Raids were way too hard. And a lot of Classic players can't keep up with that. They're bad. They're fucking garbage. They're trash. They're so bad at the game. Like, if you watch people raid in Classic WoW in Era, bro, these people, like, I swear to God, you could train a parrot to play a game better than that. You could. There are 100% parrots that are smarter than most people in a multi-core raid. Absolutely. And not even the smart parrots, right? I'm talking about like just a run-of-the-mill parrot. Not like the cream of the crop, just like an average parrot.
God, dude.
I think tanking was probably the most difficult aspect of Classic WoW. Yeah, I know.
Classic WoW is a threat game, right? The main mechanic in Classic WoW is threat. That's what it always was. You can't taunt most bosses. And with world buffs, if you're a main tank, you're looking at a threat meter and people are just fucking like creeping mostly melee at that near that 110%, because you need 110% to pull off a tank, right? So it's like you're just constantly doing your rotation as a tank, just making sure people don't pull off you. That's the main mechanic in Classic WoW. That's it.
The hardest part about tanking is staying awake. So, saw dog shit.
When you have really good players, like we were lucky enough to have really good DPS. So our tank was on top, had to constantly make sure that the rotation was perfect. So I don't agree that all you got to do is make sure you're awake. You're not just spamming Sunder Armor, right? You're doing other shit too. So I think that it's a little bit of a disservice to say that it's easy to tank in a high-end guild, especially like, guilds like Onslaught, right?
Players confirmed? Yes, exactly. So how is it opinion relevant of a casual reaction Andy streamer than a dad that plays WoW and has since 2006? Because the casual, the person who's played, and also like I am a reaction Andy, but you can play WoW for the next 10 years and you will still not have played as much WoW as I have, and I will probably still know more about the game than you do. 10 years from now, if I never played another day in my life, okay? So yes, keep that in mind. Talk shit all you want, try to invalidate my fucking opinion, just like you did with Sunken Temple, and then the raids got nerfed massively because I was right all along, because I understand the game better than almost fucking anybody.
Yeah.
Because I played it for 15 fucking years, for 35,000 fucking hours. I know how the game works. I know how people think. I spend all the time doing it. That's why I was so popular. That's why my videos were so good. That's why my streams were so good about the game. It's because I know it better than fucking anybody. And so anyway, I have people saying that I'm wrong. Blizzard wasn't. Blizzard agreed. You said 36,000?
I don't think that's a huge feather in your cap, because Blizzard, they make a lot of dumb decisions. But yes, you were right for sure.
Be 37 by now, actually.
From what I can see, because I didn't play. But yeah.
Yes. Very humble. I am being humble. It's just true. Your opinion objectively is less valid than people that are still playing the game and have played for 15 years as well? No, it's not, because the people playing the game is not the only thing. I made achievement guides for every achievement. I was in the top 10 for achievements in the entire world. Like, I raided at cutting edge level for the better part of 10 years. I was a raid leader. I had leveled every character to max. I did all of the challenge modes for every expansion. I did the mage tower for everything. Like, every difficult content in the game, I did it. I did it all the time. Here's the truth, right? Most people that play the game don't understand it. That's the reality.
That's true.
They don't understand what the game actually needs because they don't really get it.
I think you have to really look at WoW at a fundamental level to really understand what the game needs. I'm not saying that a normal person can't see something and say that's bullshit and doesn't work. But I think you really need to go into kind of the interdependency between classes, the synergies, the abilities, the math behind the abilities. You have to understand this stuff at least a basic level to understand what the game needs and what the game shouldn't have. PvP as well. Like, you have to play PvP to understand what PvP is a big part of the game, right? And changes you make on one side, on the PvE side, are of course going to affect PvP and vice versa. So I think you have to have a very well-rounded understanding of the game. You have to understand shamans and paladins, right? Because those are faction-specific, which is cool, man. Something that we lost. So, as the game progressed. So I think he's right in the fact that you really do kind of really have to understand the game at a greater than a basic level to understand what it needs.
Did you, or were you carried? I did. I was one of the best players. Absolutely, it's verifiable. Go look at my logs.
I mean, yeah.
There's a reason why everybody watched my videos. It's because I was the best. It's just the way it is.
It's obvious that Asmongold is a good player.
It's verifiable fact.
No, he's the best, but he's a good player for sure.
Anyway, needs a full reset. Yeah, best WoW player in the world, not best player, right? But I was very good. And anyway, so the raids were too hard, and they were catering to people that were no-lifers. The average people that play Classic WoW are brain-dead dads that don't have time to raid, and if you make them wipe and die over and over in a raid, here's another thing that's really valuable that people might not be thinking about. When you know how long a raid is going to take, it's a lot easier to do that raid.
True.
So, for example, if you do Molten Core, you know that raid's going to take an hour. If you do BWL, you know that raid is going to take an hour.
Yeah.
But if you're doing Sunken Temple, you don't know whether that raid's going to take 40 minutes or 3 hours. So for people that have a lot of time, that don't have a lot of time, it's much harder to commit to a raid that has an uncertain outcome and how much time it's going to take.
That's true.
Also, here's another reason. Are they still using raid IDs? Of course.
Yeah, this
is the stupidest decision that I think Blizzard has made in Season of Discovery.
I agree.
Of all of the decisions, this is the dumbest one. It is completely unnecessary.
It's not necessary anymore.
It adds nothing to the game, and all it does is hurt players playing with each other. A lot of people don't understand how raid IDs work. Raid IDs mean that when you join a raid, instead of being saved just to the bosses that you've killed, you are instead saved to that specific
raid.
Instance of the raid.
Yeah.
So if you do a raid with some people and it doesn't go very well, you don't have the option to join another raid later on in the week and just go play with them instead. You have to finish your raid specifically.
Yeah.
Whereas in Retail WoW right now, they have a better solution for this. Every single boss you have an ID for, and you can receive loot from that boss every single week, but you can kill that boss multiple times.
This is something that I agree that I think is good, because it'll help. Like, say, here's a scenario. Let's say that your guild needs to bring in a ringer, like someone's alt for a certain fight. Maybe you need another tank. It would suck that that person comes in for 4 horsemen and then they can't do anything else, right? Now, if you remove raid ID and do boss ID, you can bring in that ringer for 4 horsemen. And then he can go do a GDKP, a next GDKP with another group, and potentially receive loot on another raid. Or not just GDKP, just another raid, right? So I don't know why this is still a thing. I'm not sure what it really does. What's the benefit of this? Does it keep guilds together? I don't know what it does. Someone maybe who knows more about this can comment, but I don't think this is needed anymore.
That would not for Mythic. Yeah, I know, and Mythic is stupid. They're stupid for not having it like that in Mythic. Yeah, not in Mythic. I know, and they're stupid for that. Yeah, they should make it a Mythic too. That only works because retail is personal loot? No, it doesn't. They had the system before personal loot. It's just not true. But yes, anyway, Lost Ark worked like that? Yeah. That messes up Mythic Raids so much? Yeah. Retail literally is not personal loot anymore. They got rid of personal loot? Yeah. That's just, again, these are the people that are telling me that I don't have the right to an opinion, right? So, raid IDs. Raid IDs are just a superior system. They're better in every single way, and Blizzard not having them is just causing the game to be worse. So that's number one. The next thing, focus is not on leveling, but instead in-game. This is big. This is really big. The main reason why Classic WoW was very popular is because people never got to 60. And because people never got to 60, they never got to experience the issues that the game had at 60. And also because the...
Okay, so I agree with Asmongold that leveling is a huge part of the game. And I think it still is, even in Classic. But I don't know if you can say the focus is leveling anymore. Because who didn't get to 60 in Classic? Very, very few people did not get to 60 in Classic. And a big reason for that was mage boosting, but that's another situation altogether. But anyway, so I don't disregard this point, Asmon. I think it's very important. I don't think it's as important as it was in 2004. So, yes, the leveling process is a huge part of the game, but I feel like Classic now, the focus is more on endgame than it is on leveling. But it's not like sweeping over to endgame. It's like, 70-30 or 60-40. When in vanilla, it was probably like 80-20, right? Leveling was 80% of the experience, 20% was endgame.
It's the time spent in order to play the game was very high. You would always have something that you could do. You could play WoW for 6 months and you could never hit level 60. But you could have a great time because you were just enjoying and playing through the game on your own pace.
That's true. You can still do that.
That is no longer true in Season of Discovery because Blizzard has introduced so many other ways to level faster. Mm-hmm. And they've introduced daily rewards.
And the level capping itself, right?
That hurt what actually WoW was supposed to be and what made Classic WoW so good. Leveling is the best casual content because it is totally guided. If you're level 21, you have to get to 22. If you're 56, you've got to get to 57. You know exactly what to do. You don't need a battle pass telling you what to do. You don't need a fucking, reminder, Khadgar alert. Oh, you've got to go do the dungeon. You don't need that. Because you know what? You know what you need to do. The max level's 60, and you're 33. Well, I know what I got to do. I got to get 34. It's very simple. So you can very, very quickly figure out what to do and how to progress your character. The fact that so many people hit max level in Classic, or sorry, in SOD, the goal should not be to have people hit max level. It should be for people to play the game and have a good experience. Hitting max level is not a success metric. Being engaged in the game is. And being engaged in a quality way.
And no.
Like, not just like, oh, yeah, you're playing the game, but you're doing dailies, you hate the game. No, but being engaged in a...
I will say it's very important for the success of Classic WoW to have an ecosystem where players are at every level, right? And most of those people who are low level at you know, a year in are alts. But there are people that just take their time, and that's fine. And I think having a healthy ecosystem of players at every level is a huge part of why Classic WoW is successful. And the fact that the leveling experience takes a long time ensures that. But endgame ensures that too, because why would you make an alt if there's nothing to do at endgame on another character, right? Most people probably make characters to supplement their main in some way, either making gold or providing professions or whatever you want to do, right? So GDKPs and a long leveling process help that. Help that.
Quality way. So what ends up happening is that Season of Discovery has focused on the end game. And in the process of that, they have removed the texture of Classic.
And remember, in SOD, there were multiple end games, not just one, because of the level capping, sequential level capping.
Wow. They've removed the interdependencies. They've removed the focus on leveling. And I think that's hurt the game a lot. That's why lowering max level is interesting and smart, in my opinion. Yeah, I think it's interesting in a lot of ways. It's a good point for me, but it's also personally an I'll take, because I would never play a game that takes ages to reach max level, because my only goal in an MMO is to reach max level and get the best loot.
Well, then
yes,
Classic WoW's not the game for you.
It wasn't seasonal.
That's true,
I think that you
too.
would do it if it wasn't seasonal.
That's true, too.
The reason why they feel like they have to do this is because it's seasonal. I think
I agree with this a lot.
seasonal MMO is an oxymoron.
I agree.
What that means, these are two things that do not fit together. Seasons and MMOs should not be together. Exact word, yes. There you go. Seasonal equals end-game content only. Don't WoW subs decline every year? We have no idea. They don't say.
In Season of Mastery, everyone cared about endgame because it took a lot less time to get to endgame because of the shorter time. So all the focus was on endgame. And obviously it is an SOD because it's like multiple endgames, right? So I agree with Asmund on this 100%. Seasonal MMOs are a niche, but I don't think it works for Classic WoW.
Zoomers blame Fortnite? No, well, then I mean there aren't only Zoomers that play video games.
Because you're forcing people that do well in a certain niche to play in a different niche, and we talked about this evolutionary biology metaphor in a previous video. If you take a species that's highly adapted for a certain niche, we can call that niche a normal leveling process, 2.5 year cycle, and then put that in a yearly cycle, that species is not going to do very well in that niche. There's going to be a new niche developing. So the reason why SOD probably isn't popular is you're taking a bunch of dads, mostly dads, and moms who play this longer type of niche that has a long leveling process, and game takes a long time, there's a lot of content to do, and you're moving into this really truncated, accelerated niche, and they're not doing well in that niche.
Plenty of people that aren't Zoomers. MMO should have persistence. Yeah, you need to have persistence.
Agreed.
Because without persistence, there's no motivation for me. Like, I don't feel any desire to, like, get ready for anything in Season of Discovery, because I know that eventually it will all just be deleted. And it's, like, that's...
I think something to do... I talked about the whole multiverse idea. What about a Hall of Legends, right? So, every 2 years, if you're recycling and doing a new fresh, you're going to run into the problem where you have all of these characters from previous iterations or previous freshes that are endgame. Right, they have all the gear from Nax or whatever, right? I think what would be really interesting is that you put these characters in a Hall of Legends. Because every subsequent fresh is going to make these older versions of the game more and more obsolete and disjuncted. So maybe, like, if you do a series of 3 freshes, on the next fresh, the oldest servers get deleted, but the characters get put into a Hall of Legends. And when you get to endgame, in any of the subsequent freshes, you can pull from the Hall of Legends that character once all the phases of content have been put out. And maybe like 3-4 weeks into Nax, you can pull from that and pull your shaman back in. Because let's say you didn't have a shaman this time. Like Melderon can come back for the end of the game and gets added into the game, right? Maybe the gold is removed so you don't cause this huge inflation of gold. But this is something, an idea they can have, in addition to the multiverse idea, to keep, some of your players in a Hall of Legends. So you can pull from them at different times and different servers. So if you're on the 4th fresh, you can pull that character down into that fresh and play them again. I think that's really cool. But each fresh, you get to add a character into the Hall of Legends, right? I think that would be a really cool and interesting idea.
Always the case. Like, every game ends eventually, right? But, like, it's like the direct case. Seasons in WoW started in Wrath, which was 10 years before Fortnite. Oh, you're right. I think that, like, really, well, like, hard seasons started in WoW. I'd say in, like, Legion. In, like, Legion and BFA. Yeah, it was somewhere around there. Like, yeah, Mythic Plus, whenever they started scaling everything up. Because you still had to do some of the old raids back in the day, and you had, like, catch-up gear. But now is, now it's just you don't have to do that at all. Legion, yes, yeah, that's what I would say. Like, an MMO is still fun if you achieved most things, yeah. So these are the reasons why I think Season of Discovery just really didn't... It really didn't retain players in the same way that Classic WoW would. I think that it'll be interesting to see what the new raids and dungeons they come up with are going to be. But to be honest with you, I think that the WoW developers, they view the points of friction in Classic WoW as points that can be improved upon. But I think the points of friction in Classic WoW give it the texture that makes it a timeless game.
Agreed. The inconsistencies and imperfections make the game timeless. Like I said, the only things that should be done are this multiverse idea that I have, where you shift some things around, maybe add some new gear items. But they only exist in that multiverse, right? They can come back in other multiverses that they're very popular. But I think that's how you handle this game, man. And I think the only other thing you can maybe do is add a tier of content after Nax. Right? That would be okay. Add a new raid after Nax. You could even keep some of these raids you made, like these low level raids, but don't cap leveling, right? Just just have a level 10 raid or level 15 raid available for players to play, but they're not required. And you don't stop the leveling process there. You keep going. I don't think anyone would be opposed to having a couple raids during the leveling process. But you don't need these stupid fucking runes. You don't need to stop the leveling process. You just have other content that people can do. That's it. It's a fun thing you can do once or twice while you're running through the leveling. Get a few pieces of gear if you're lucky, and keep going. There are some good things that happen inside. You don't have to get rid of everything. But I think, less is more, and keep it simple, stupid. Those two things are very, very important. Because Classic WoW is already a great game. As Asmund just said, the idiosyncrasies and inconsistencies and imperfections make it good.
The fact that Azergos and Kha'Zix are not instanced. The fact that leveling does take an extremely long time. The fact that if you're a warrior and you're out there leveling by yourself, you're going to have a bad time.
Yep.
That's what makes the game timeless. And that's why people will be playing Classic WoW in 20 years.
Amen, dude.
There's a lot of things that... I think that especially in making an MMO, the psychology of the game, in some circumstances, matters more than the actual design.
I agree.
And I think that in a lot of cases, it matters just as much. As
I agree.
compared to Final Fantasy XIV, do you think WoW could take anything from it? It depends, right? Why would people want progression to be slow? You have to give people what they need and not what they want.
Exactly.
People want progression to be fast, but that's not what's good for the game. It's always something that, like, if you gave people a button to press the button to give them 1 million gold, everybody would press the button, but everybody would say it's bad.
Right.
Don't give people what they want or what they would do. Create an experience that's rewarding, and then players will fit into that experience.
For those of you who have kids, does every time your kids say, Daddy and Mommy, I want a cupcake, do you give them a cupcake? No. Why? Because you'll give them fucking diabetes. And they'll die. developers have to start thinking like parents and not like drug pushers. That's a problem. You got to start thinking like parents. Kevin Jordan, John Statz, those guys back then looked at Classic WoW as their child and the player base as their children as well. And that's how developers should be looking at Classic WoW. You should not give players everything they want. You should give them what they need to make a fun experience. And if they bitch and complain about it, that's fine, because the game obviously is popular because it's doing well. So obviously something's being done right. And I understand you wanted to change a bunch of shit. People have been saying, well, what about this and what about that? And add this in and add that in. You got to filter that shit down and the stuff that's actually usable and important. You can't just give everything.
Experience. That's what I would say. I would argue psychology is the game design. They're completely connected. They are. They're absolutely connected. I don't want to spam. I really wanted to react to this. Man, I don't want you to spam either. Type it again and you're banned. Let's see here. At this point in my life, I want a game that makes me feel good. Power fantasy. I don't care about hard grinding anymore. See, you don't understand. Like, I get that. I get that. But Classic WoW had that.
Mm-hmm.
You had, like, am I the only person that felt like I had a power fantasy whenever I got plate armor at level 40?
Oh.
Or I got the Ravager in Scarlet Monastery?
Oh.
Or I finally unlocked dual wielding?
Yes,
I
dude.
did.
Yes, dude.
It's not like the only frame of reference of power fantasy is getting Gressel Dawn of Ruin.
True.
That's the entire, like... That's the entire problem. Is that people don't think about, like, these small accomplishments along the way. They only think about, like, this one massive goal.
Classic WoW is nothing but a bunch of small accomplishments.
And that's why the game doesn't feel like an MMO. Some of these chatters need to watch Overlord. Well, I think that, I mean, this is definitely more of a, you know, a free run type thing, right? But, like, the journey itself and the process and the individual things that you do along that journey, there are power fantasies and experiences in that are good.
Yeah.
And focusing on trying to corral everybody to the end game is just going to get people to get to the end game and not care about it.
It's true.
Because they don't know why. Why should they care about it? Did I actually watch the Overlord trailer for that movie? No, I haven't. I watched all the anime, though. I watched the entire thing. I think the people that are running the game almost get it with Classic WoW Season of Discovery, but I don't think that they get it. I think that they still view points of friction as being bad. And I don't think that they are good or bad, but every single change, like, for example, enchanting. Enchanting onto a vellum changes the social aspect versus enchanting from a player and then building up trust with that player.
100%.
Because, like, you know, if you give somebody your materials to do Crusader and then they log off, well, then you're fucked, right? So that's why they made the vellums. But everything that you do like that has a large cultural and, like, social cost.
Effect, yeah.
And what I'm saying is that in a lot of the pursuit to make the game more legible and more...
And nowadays, Discord enhances that, right? So back in the day, if someone logged off with your Crusader enchant mats, what could you fucking do? Type in trade chat, right? You're typing in trade chat, and you're like, this guy's an asshole. Not saying it doesn't have an effect. It definitely does. But the quickness Discord integration allows you to go to that server's Discord and pin, make a comment and say, like, this guy did this. Now a whole bunch more people see it too, in addition to trade chat, or in addition to whatever, you know? So Discord actually helps this social aspect.
Streamlined, they've removed that social value so much. That's bannable, though? No? Yeah, it's usually bannable, but, like, then you're stuck. Like, how long is that going to take? And, like, you're just so fucked over. So, yeah. When I switched Frost to a DPS spec, I had to wait at least 10 seconds before I DPS, or otherwise I'd pull aggro. It's such a good feeling. 100% agree. Yeah. I took pride in learning rare enchants. Yeah, absolutely. Blizzard doesn't understand that people basically want to reopen Classic WoW. That's it. I don't think people want to just replay Classic WoW. I don't. I think that's done. Like, there's always going to be a subset of people that are like, oh my god, fresh, let's do it all over again.
Yeah,
but that's a very small amount of people, right? I think that if you want to make a bigger game, like OSRS is a great example of this. OSRS, and I know Jimmy and I have disagreements on this, was built on the foundation of nostalgia, but expands upon that to create a true experience. Like, OSRS is why people got excited for SOD. So, they want Classic WoW, but they also want Classic WoW in the way that they imagined Classic WoW evolving whenever they were 16 years old.
Yes.
And I think that it's, again, nostalgia and game design and new additions. I think these are hand in hand.
Like I said, you don't have to give all these things. If you just announce the multiverse idea and say, like, there's going to be new shit that you haven't seen yet, Either, stuff's going to be moved around a little bit. There's going to be new drops in some raids, and maybe we'll add a few raids, some in the leveling process, and one new raid at the end game. That's going to be enough to get people hyped. That's all you need.
The problem is that that's not what's happening. So we'll play Season of Discovery Phase 4, okay? I will 100% play Phase 4. I am most excited about Phase 4. But
I'm eager to see what
my
Asmund says
excitement
about
is not very high. It's not. It's really not very high. I don't think that the changes the developers have made are... I don't think they know what they're doing. That's really the way I feel. I really don't think they know what they're doing. Mark my words, the future of MMO genre is the survival game aspects. Yes, survival aspects will be the future of MMOs. I agree. Would you support them adding a polling system like OSRS has done? Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay.
You're not excited
with
for
that
Phase 5 Kara raid? I know what it's going to be. Like, I know I'll play it. Of course I'll play it. But, like, I know what it's going to be, and I think it'll probably be problematic in a lot of ways. So, they promised new zone raids and SOD. So far, nothing new. Well, they're adding that Fellwood dungeon, which is really cool. I think that's awesome.
That is cool.
Do you
Stuff
think
like that's
horizontal
cool.
seasonal model like Helldivers would work well in an MMO? No, I don't think so. I think the problem really is that... So this is one of the things that, like, in Lost Ark, this is why the first month of Lost Ark was so good, is because there was so much content to go through, and the only thing that was holding you back from it was, well, money, but also time. Like, there was content. They brought this game out, and they said, this game's out. There's a boss that requires item level 300 or 400, 1400, right? And right now, you are item level 70. Well, go get him. That is amazing. That's what, and the problem, 1370, I think that there are some bosses at 1400, right? Some of the world bosses. 1370 was only for some of them, right? But Argos was 1370. The first, was it? It doesn't matter, right? My point is that obviously there are these bosses that are really high level. Like, for example, the Poseidon raid. You don't even do that raid, whenever Lost Ark came out, you don't even do that raid for like 50 hours. 70, 100 hours maybe. But whenever you get there, holy shit. It's fucking amazing. It was so fucking good. Yeah, exactly. And like Final Fantasy did that as well. It's like you don't even get to the the coils of Bahamut or something like that until like way later in the game. So I think the problem is like the developers for Season of Discovery it's almost like they view player behavior, or like they don't really have like a very good way of viewing player behavior. Wasn't coils early? Well, it is now in the context of the game, but it wasn't then. Prep back. Can I use the bathroom? Just endgame ARR. Yeah, but when it came out, it was the endgame. Is what I mean.
So this is a really good video. I'm glad Asmund made it, and shouts out to Azimus and Asmund for reacting to this video and turning a 2-minute video into a 40-minute video, and then I turned a 40-minute video into an hour video. So that's that's YouTube, right? In 2024. Anyway, a lot of good stuff here. Again, I want to say, like, I haven't played SOD, guys. Take whatever I say with a grain of salt. I don't know. It may be super fun. You guys might be having a great time. I think Blizzard needs to do something like the Multiverse idea I had, right? We can call it WoW Classic Multiverse. Great, cool thing. It's going to get a lot of attention. It's a great title, right? You change a few things. Very minor. You maybe add a few new raids or dungeons. Nothing that's going to hurt the ecosystem of World of Warcraft. And you just like keep doing that every 2 years. Change things up just a little bit each time. Maybe the endgame raid gets changed into something else. Maybe there's a new dungeon that replaces another dungeon in a certain level range. Something new each time. Minimal for the devs. They don't have to do a lot. But a lot of cool content for players to engage in. And, I think they shouldn't shy away from doing weird off-color items like the ending doom. Things like that. And just, hey guys, look, I'm a simple guy, and I like simple things. I love Classic WoW the way it is, and I'll play fresh even if they just do that. But I think the Multiverse idea, coupled with the Hall of Legends, could really, really keep this going for a long time, potentially forever, and could make Blizzard a steady stream of income. Just don't add all the money, transactions, and microtransactions. Leave the game the way it is. Just add a few new pieces of content each iteration. And that's the way it should be, man. And the good stuff, and you'll find through evolutionary process what stuff sticks and what stuff doesn't stick. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments what I should react to next. Make sure you check out the Context Gaming Discord. The link will be in the description. Links to Azimus's channel and Azimuth Gold's channel will be in the description as well. Hope you guys have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what I should react to next. Keep on keyboarding and grinding.